Welcome back to the Political Buzz. I'm Ron, and today we're diving into a shadowy force that some say runs the country, and it's not who you voted for. I'm talking about the administrative state, or as critics call it, the deep state. So, who's really in charge? Let's find out. The administrative state is the network of federal agencies and bureaucracies that create and enforce regulations, often without Congress passing specific laws. These agencies have legislative, executive, and judicial powers all wrapped into one. Yeah, that's a lot of power for people you didn't vote for. The rise of bureaucratic power. Franklin D. Roosevelt's New Deal kickstarted the rise of big government. But since then, the bureaucratic web has grown exponentially. Some key moments are 1960s Great Society Patriot Act, 2001, Affordable Care Act, 2010. The reach of federal agencies in ways most Americans didn't even realize. Are these government overreach? Let's talk scandals, because what's the political buzz without some drama? First, EPA versus property owners. NSA mass surveillance key revealed by Edward Snowden 3. CDC and COVID-19, mask mandates, and eviction moratoriums. These agencies wield enormous power, but when does it cross the line into overreach? Now, we've got to talk about the elephant in the room, the so-called deep state. Trump and Steve Bannon, who popularized the term. The idea? Unelected officials pulling the strings behind the scenes. But others say it's just how modern government works. Messy, bureaucratic, but necessary. We now have another government department, and it has another set of conspiracies. It is called Department of Government Efficiency, ran by Elon Musk. You decide. Steve Miller was asked about it in a White House press conference, and he takes time to give a history lesson as he explains how government works. I am not fond of him, but I can't help but agree. Let's listen. It is worth your time if you have not already heard it.
And I have a question for Steve Miller about Doge. So you spoke about Doge. You said roughly $50 billion is set to be cut in a year of waste, fraud, and abuse by unelected bureaucrats. We're hearing this ironic narrative from the president's critics and the left-wing media that Elon Musk is an unelected bureaucrat and he's doing all this terrible stuff. Isn't one of Doge's objectives to get rid of the federal bureaucracy, the deep state, and also who was running the White House when Joe Biden was in office? Because I don't know a single person who believes it was Joe Biden.
Yes, you're tempting me to say some very harsh things about some of our media friends. Yes, it is true that many of the people in this room for 4 years failed to cover the fact that Joe Biden was mentally incompetent and was not running the country. It is also true that many people in this room who have used this talking point that Elon is not elected fail to understand how government works. So I'm glad for the opportunity for a brief civics lesson. A president is elected by the whole American people. He's the only official in the entire government that is elected by the entire nation, right? Judges are appointed, members of Congress are elected at the district or state level, which is one man. And the Constitution, Article 2, has a clause known as the vesting clause, and it says the executive power shall be vested in a president, singular. The whole will of democracy is imbued into the elected president. That president then appoints staff to then impose that democratic will onto the government. The threat to democracy, indeed the existential threat to democracy, is the unelected bureaucracy of lifetime tenured civil servants who believe they answer to no one, who believe they can do whatever they want without consequence, who believe they can set their own agenda no matter what Americans vote for. So Americans vote for radical FBI reform, and FBI agents say they don't want to change. Or Americans vote for radical reform on our energy policies, but EPA bureaucrats say they don't want to change. Or Americans vote to end DEI, racist DEI policies, and lawyers at the Department of Justice say they don't want to change. What President Trump is doing is he is removing federal bureaucrats who are defying democracy by failing to implement his lawful orders, which are the will of the whole American people. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody.
All right, time for you to weigh in. Do you think the administrative state is A, necessary for order, B, a threat to democracy, C, a bit of both? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'll shout out the best ones in the next episode. I promise you, you won't be canceled. It's called free speech. The greatest generation gave that right to us as Americans. Whether you see it as a necessary evil or the real power behind the throne, the administrative state isn't going anywhere soon. But should it have this much power? I don't think so. I don't think most of us understand how government works in the United States. We rely on others to teach us. Hollywood entertainers, sports figures, and talking heads in mainstream media. That's the buzz for today. Smash that like button, subscribe, and ring that bell so you never miss a scandal. I'm Ron, and remember, in politics, the drama is always real.